Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that applauds loudness, a world where everyone is eager to speak, to share, to shout their plans from the rooftops. But let me tell you something. The wisest ones are often the quietest. There's power in discretion, strength in silence, and wisdom in knowing when to speak and when not to. You see, not everything you think, feel, or plan needs to be broadcasted. Some things are like seeds. You don't expose them too early. You protect them, nourish them, let them grow roots before you ever show the world the sprout. Your dreams, don't share them too soon. Your goals, keep them close until they're strong enough to stand on their own. The world has critics. It has doubters. It has distractions. And if you share your vision too early, you invite resistance that can weaken your... Sometimes we talk to be understood. Other times we talk to feel important. But the man or woman who can hold their tongue, guard their thoughts, and move quietly with intent, that's the one who wins long term. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need applause at every turn. The satisfaction is in doing the work, not announcing the plan. Let your results do the talking. Let your success make the noise. And one more thing, never confuse silence with weakness. A quiet person isn't one with nothing to say. They're just choosing their words and their audience wisely. So master this art. Keep some things to yourself. It's not secrecy, it's strategy. Discipline isn't just something you apply to your habits, your calendar, or your finances. It also applies to your mouth. Just like your mind needs training to focus on the right thoughts, your mouth needs training to speak the right words, and more importantly, to hold back the wrong ones. It's easy to talk. It's easy to react. It's easy to blurt out what's on your mind without filtering it through purpose or wisdom. But ease is a poor measure for value. The disciplined life doesn't give in to ease. It chooses what's necessary over what's convenient. So the question is, are your words serving your goals or just your emotions? If your mind is a garden, your mouth is the gate. And if you let everything out, weeds get sown right alongside the flowers. Sometimes the best thing you can say is nothing. Not because you're hiding, but because you're thinking. You're choosing. You're giving yourself the space to speak with precision rather than impulse. Words carry weight. Once they're out, they don't come back. So discipline isn't about silence for the sake of silence. It's about knowing when your words add value and when they dilute it. Just like you don't let your mind run wild with distractions, don't let your mouth run wild with commentary. Train it, tame it, use it with intent. Because the one who can control what they say, especially when emotions are high, is the one who can be trusted with responsibility, opportunity, and influence. And that's where real success begins. Talk is cheap. Ambition on its own doesn't cost a thing. You can sit in a coffee shop and declare to the world that you're going to write a book, start a business, run a marathon, or change your life, and the world will nod, maybe even applaud. But here's the truth. Talk doesn't build anything. What builds things is the work, the early mornings, the late nights, the moments when no one's watching and you show up anyway. That's where progress lives. That's where success starts. In the doing, not in the declaring. There's a strange thing that happens when we talk too much about our plans. We trick ourselves into thinking we've already done something. It feels good to say, I'm going to start a company. You get a small hit of validation. People smile. Maybe they say, wow, that's exciting. And you feel like you've already made a move. But nothing's actually changed. All you've done is spoken. There's a certain power in holding your plans close. Not because you're being secretive, but because you're being serious. The moment you shift from talking to working, you stop needing the applause. You stop needing the confirmation. You stop trying to prove. And you start to build. Because here's the reality. Results speak louder than promises. You don't need to tell the world what you're about to do. Just do it. Let your discipline be your declaration. Let your consistency speak for your commitment. Let your finished product announce your plan. The people who build great things don't spend all day describing blueprints. They're laying bricks. one at a time, day after day, quietly, faithfully, and relentlessly. Talking is easy, working is rare. And the world doesn't reward noise, it rewards value. It doesn't celebrate chatter, it celebrates completion. So if you've got a dream, don't just talk about it, guard it, water it, work on it in silence. Let your results walk into the room before your words do. That's how you earn real respect. That's how you make real progress. And that's how you live a life of meaning, not just by what you say, but by what you finish. Silence has a reputation it doesn't deserve. Too many people see it as weakness. They think if you're not talking, you must not have something to say. If you're quiet, you must be unsure, afraid, or disengaged. But that's not true, not even close. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom in disguise. It's the space where observation lives. It's the tool of the thinker, the planner, the strategist. The loudest person in the room is often the one trying to prove something. The quiet one? That's the one who's listening, learning, calculating. They're not showing off, they're sharpening. When you choose silence, you choose control. It requires restraint, patience, presence. To sit in a room full of noise and not feel the need to compete with it, that's character. That's confidence. Because silence doesn't say, I have nothing to offer. It says, I don't need to prove myself to you. You see, there are moments when silence speaks louder than speech ever could. In the middle of conflict, silence can calm a storm. In the face of provocation, silence can protect your dignity. And in times of decision, silence gives you the clarity to choose wisely rather than react emotionally. We live in a time where everyone wants to be heard, but very few are willing to be still long enough to listen. And fewer still understand that power doesn't always raise its voice. Sometimes power walks into the room, says nothing, and changes everything. Silence is a mirror. It shows you who's secure and it reveals who can sit with themselves and who needs constant noise to distract from what they're avoiding inside. So learn to use silence as a boundary, as a compass, as a filter. Use it to gather strength, to study people, to protect your peace. Don't feel pressured to fill the void. Sometimes the void is where the breakthrough comes. Remember, silence is a tool. It's not the absence of thought. Silence is a tool. It's not the absence of thought. It's the presence of maturity. It's not hiding, it's holding. Holding your energy, your insight, your power until the moment it's truly needed. And when you do speak, your words will carry more weight, not because you're louder, but because your silence made room for meaning. That's not weakness, that's wisdom in action. There's something sacred about the early stages of a dream. It's like a seed, fragile, full of potential, but not ready for the world just yet. And the mistake too many people make is pulling it out of the ground too early, showing it off before it has any roots. Your vision is no different. It needs time, quiet time, time away from noise, away from opinions, away from judgment and distraction, not because you're hiding it, but because you're protecting it. Because in the quiet, your vision doesn't get weaker, it gets stronger. In private, you're not performing. You're not defending your ideas or explaining them to people who may not understand. You're just building. And there's something powerful about that. You're not seeking applause. You're doing the work. Quietly, steadily, consistently. You're just listening to yourself, to your instincts, to the quiet pull of purpose that doesn't always make sense to the outside world. That's where real clarity is born. Because the world isn't always kind to new ideas. Share your vision too soon, and people will poke holes in it. Not because they're bad people, but because they can't see what you see. They're not meant to. It's your vision, not theirs. And that's why it has to grow in a space where belief is stronger than approval. Private time is where you refine the edges. It's where you adjust the details. Where you fail without an audience and try again without judgment. That kind of growth builds confidence, and that confidence becomes your foundation, solid enough to carry the weight of your dream when it finally meets the world. It's not about being secretive, it's about being serious. You don't plant a seed today and invite everyone over tomorrow to look at the harvest. You water it, you nurture it, and you give it time. Then when it's ready, really ready, you let it speak for itself. Because when your vision is strong enough in private, you won't need to convince anyone in public. Your results will do the talking. Your progress will speak volumes. And the same people who once questioned your silence will respect your outcomes. So guard your vision while it's growing. Build it away from the noise. Strengthen it in the quiet. Because the vision that's grown in private becomes the success that shines in public. Be careful who you let inside. Your thoughts, your goals, your fears, your plans. They make up the inner landscape of your life. That's your map. It shows where you've been, where you're going, and how you plan to get there. And not everyone deserves to hold that map. You see, the mind is like a vault. Inside it are your deepest intentions, your private struggles, your ideas still in the making. And when you hand that over too freely, when you explain yourself to everyone, when you share your every step, every emotion, every goal, you give people access to places they haven't earned the right to walk through. Some will use it against you, not always out of malice, but out of misunderstanding. They'll question what they don't grasp. They'll project their own limits onto your vision. And if you're not strong enough, their doubt becomes your hesitation. Their confusion becomes your detour. It's not that you can't trust anyone, but trust should be earned. The deeper parts of your mind should be reserved for people who know how to listen with care, people who want to see you win, not simply understand you. And let's be honest, some people aren't looking to understand you at all. They just want something to talk about. The more you share, the more you invite opinions that serve no purpose but to drain your energy and dilute your focus. That's why discretion is power. You don't owe the world a commentary on every thought. You don't need to explain every move before you make it. Some things are better kept in progress until they're strong enough to stand on their own. Speak with intention, not impulse. Share with discernment, not desperation. Because once people know your entire route, where you're headed, how fast you're moving, what you're carrying, they can influence it, interrupt it, or worse, sabotage it. And often, they won't even realize they're doing it. One comment, one raised eyebrow, one "are you sure?" and suddenly you're second-guessing something you once believed in deeply. Keep your inner world sacred. Let people see the results, not the blueprint. Share the fruit, not the soil it grew from. There's wisdom in privacy, not secrecy. Privacy. It's the space where you stay centered, where your thoughts can mature before they're exposed to the wind. So remember, your mind is your most valuable territory. Guard it well. Don't hand out the map to people who won't honor the journey, because once you learn to protect what's inside, what you build on the outside becomes unshakable. There's a timing to everything, a rhythm to success, to growth, to the unveiling of your ideas. And when you interrupt that rhythm, when you speak too soon, you often open a door that wasn't meant to be opened yet. You invite something in that can weaken your momentum. Doubt. It doesn't always come from enemies. The circles exit from the main. Often it comes from well-meaning people, friends, family, colleagues, people who care about you but don't understand your vision the way you do. You share a goal, fresh and not yet tested, and suddenly you're surrounded by questions. Are you sure that will work? Isn't that risky? Don't you think you should wait? And now, instead of being focused on execution, you're defending the idea. Instead of moving forward, you're explaining yourself. The energy that should be going into the work is now going into managing other people's fears. That's the cost of speaking too soon. Early stage ideas are like small flames, easy to spark, but just as easy to blow out. And nothing smothers a flame faster than a cold breeze of doubt coming from someone who doesn't see what you see. Now, this doesn't mean you never speak. It means you respect the process. You wait until the foundation is firm. You let your actions build the confidence that your words cannot. Because words on their own are fragile, but results are undeniable. Sometimes people talk too early because they're looking for encouragement or praise or confirmation. But here's the truth. If you need the world to believe in your idea before you've built it, you'll never start. And if you rely on applause to begin the journey, you'll crumble the first time silence meets you on the road. Silence is not a delay, it's preparation. It gives you time to make your idea real, to build something strong enough to withstand scrutiny. You don't need to announce everything. Let your consistency speak. Let your work speak. Let the finished product say what words cannot. Because when you speak too soon, you hand your vision over to the crowd, and the crowd is not careful with fragile things. They poke, prod, question, and reshape it in their image. Before long, it's no longer your dream. It's a diluted version trying to please people who were never going to build it with you anyway. So protect your ideas while they're growing. Keep them close while they're forming. Speak when it's time to lead, not when you're still learning to walk. Because when you wait for the right moment to speak, you don't invite doubt, you command respect. And that makes all the difference. Emotions are real, they're powerful, and they show up whether we invite them or not. Joy, anger, fear, doubt, hope, frustration, they all knock on the door from time to time. That's normal, that's human. But just because they show up doesn't mean they should be handed the microphone. You see, emotions are visitors. They come and go. Some stay longer than others, but none are meant to run the show. The problem starts when you let a temporary feeling speak for your permanent self. When you give a passing storm the authority to speak on your behalf, you get angry, and in that moment, you want to say something sharp, something final. You get discouraged, and now you're ready to quit everything you've been working on. You feel overwhelmed, and suddenly your goals don't seem worth it anymore. That's what happens when you give emotion the mic. The wrong voice speaks at the wrong time. The wise person doesn't ignore their emotions, they acknowledge them. They say, I see you, I feel you, but you don't get to decide for me. Because wisdom is the ability to feel something without becoming it, to let the emotion pass through without letting it take control. You can feel fear and still take the next step. You can feel doubt and still show up. You can feel anger and still respond with calm. That's strength. Not the absence of emotion, but the discipline to not let it do the talking. Too many people live their lives making permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. And then they wonder why they keep starting over, why they keep apologizing for what they said, why they keep chasing peace but never catching it. The truth is, emotions will always visit. They'll knock on your door when things go wrong, sometimes even when things go right. Let them in if you must, but sit them in the back row. Don't let them stand on the stage of your life and speak into a microphone that echoes far beyond the moment. Because once you speak from emotion, you can't unspeak it. Once you act from emotion, you can't unact it. And what felt right in a moment of intensity might leave you with regret in a moment of clarity. Train yourself to pause, to breathe, to observe what you're feeling without turning it into your identity. Emotions are messengers, not masters. They're clues, not commands. They can guide your attention, but they should never drive the car. So next time emotion comes knocking, listen, but don't hand it the microphone. Let your principles speak louder than your moods. Let your values have the final word. Because feelings fade, but what you say and do can echo for years. And the more you master this, the more power you have over your direction, your relationships, and your peace.